Okay, good morning. I just woke up. First off, I want to say thank you for. I mean, it's been a month, so thanks any of you guys who've been watching these videos, especially y'all that are commenting. Um, I've always wanted to do a show, and I've wanted to do. I mean, I've been doing shows, but I've always had difficulty with the motivation. It is hard because I think anybody who does a show, especially one because the previous success we used to have, it's hard to do other stuff because you get used to having like people responding or people commenting and like the views. I try not to be too focused on numbers and views and stuff, but as any content creator will tell you, when you feel like nobody cares about what you're doing or nobody's watching, then it's really hard to stay motivated and keep doing stuff because yeah. But I mean, I'm very pleased with the amount of people who are like just commenting and offering up their encouragement or hey David, I really relate to what you're saying. And I've been posting some of these videos on Facebook, and I've had like, it's weird. I had like a high school friend message me, and she was like, "Hey, I've been watching your videos, David. I think I'm gonna start up my own book business now, and I'm gonna sell books." And I was like, and and sorry, I don't want to make fun of her if she ever watches this video, but I want to be like, there's something called Amazon, right? But no, but I mean, she's not just book selling is understating what she's trying to do, and she's doing like children's books and having parties, and you could tell it's a lot more like targeted market. And so and this is somebody from high school that I used to talk to in high school, and maybe we went to the same college and like messaged each other, like talked to occasionally. But I mean, we've pretty much, other than that, we really haven't talked much in the last 15 years maybe. And just out of nowhere, she messages me and it's like, "Hey, I've been enjoying your videos, and keep it up, and I'm gonna do my thing." And I was like, wow, it's cool. I got to reconnect with somebody that I didn't really talk to. And there was a ex-employee of mine too, and like I've always enjoyed talking to her. And but I mean, I also think it was kind of those weird things where she was an employee and she didn't really know how to open up, and she had like Asian family. I don't want to say issues, but quirks about her family. And she just messaged me and just was like, "Hey, you went skydiving? That's awesome. What do you think I should do about my about my mom, my overbearing mom?" So I mean, like, I'm not some sort of like doctor or anything, but sometimes it's nice to just kind of like lay out. Like, I do this a lot. I find that I I don't feel like I feel bad because I feel like I'm burdening my friends by talking about it. But I'm the kind of person who I kind of talk out my problems. You know, like, I'll be like, "Oh man, this is what's bothering me," and then as soon as I say, "This is what's bothering me," I'll automatically connect the next line, which is like, "Well, David, if it's bothering you, then you can either do this or you could do that, or if it's bothering you, then this is why it's bothering you." And like, I'll just work out my problems by talking about them. And I have a couple friends who understand, like, "Oh yeah, yeah, sure, that's fine," and then they're real patient about it and willing to listen to me, like, do my, like, sure, what's his name, Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes, like, web of thought. But yeah, I really appreciate that. So uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. But yeah, but really very appreciative of all you guys who've been leaving comments. Yeah, maybe I but today, so somebody commented, yeah, and I woke up and I saw the comment the first thing this morning, and they said, "Oh yeah, I'm really understanding what you're talking about, but I feel very like different, and kind of never relate to people." And it's funny that he says this because like, they're everybody always thinks I'm some sort of like really outgoing guy and that I get along with everybody and that it's easy, so easy to make friends. And it's true, it is easy for me to make friends too. But especially this last couple months in this last year, I've felt very like I don't want to say isolated, but it's a very like Superman like fortress of solitude feeling, you know? I don't think I'm lonely. I don't think I'm desperate. I don't think I'm depressed. But I do have this feeling like people don't understand me. And part of this started it's funny cuz my mom took me to see a fortune teller like a couple years ago, and you know, cuz I was like 35 maybe, 34. It was a situation because like I went to school, and when I was in college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I couldn't figure it out, and you know, because I kind of like I'm one of those people who I'm interested in everything and never can commit to one thing, and that's kind of been one of my problems in my life is that like I just like everything. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do dance. Let's do this. Let's do this. But I've never like loved something so much that I would just commit to that. And you know, it's like picking a favorite food. Like people are always like, "What's your favorite food?" And I was like, you can't do it." And so like you know, after when I couldn't figure out with college, I kept wanting to take time off, and then that's actually when I started doing 4PP, is because you know, it was just like, well, I like video games, I'm gonna work on this for a while, and I did that for a while, and you know, if this is a conversation for another day, but it didn't work out, and because it didn't work out, you know, I went back to school again, and you know, couldn't figure out what to do that. And the thing is, part of me in the back of my mind, I always knew that I was gonna go back and work for my parents, and then yeah, and then I moved back to Houston, and then you know, I just kind of like worked for my parents for a couple years, and I kept wanting to do a show, kept wanting to do this, and I just couldn't figure out like what I was gonna do. And it was just I remember I had like confided in my mom. I was like, "Hey mom, you know, I'm 30 something. I'm like, what? Why can't I figure out what's going on?" And she was like, "Oh, I take you to see the fortune teller. I'll take you to see a fortune teller. He's good. He's good." And I was like, "Oh, you know, like being an American, you're like, oh God, yeah, fortune teller, huh? It's gonna Miss Cleo is gonna tell you, you know, what to do with your life." But the Asian part of me is open to that stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, you know, like I don't think it's something that you can just straight on. Like this is something that Brad's never understood about me. Is like I feel like I'm like more like there's like a spiritual side, and he's very adamant about like, you know, that not believing in that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I went to see the fortune teller, and how the fortune teller worked was he was like, "Oh, okay, so give me your birth date. Okay, give me the time you were born, the exact time. Okay, cool." So and then he has like this big box of charts, and he starts going through the charts. He's like, "Oh, did you have an accident when you were young? You almost drowned or something like that?" And I was like, "Oh, something serious accident?" I was like, "Oh, no, not me." "Okay, no, this one's not you. Did you know, something when you were around this age?" I was like, "No." "Okay, that's probably not you either." And then he'd go through, and he's like, "Oh, when you were in college, did you have like major surgeries? You had some surgeries?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "Okay, maybe this one's you." And he'll pull it out, and I'll just go through the life, and it's like, "Oh, you have eye problems?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Okay, and did it?" And so he'll just go down all the list, and then it's like, "Okay, this one's probably your chart. This is your thing." And he's like, "Oh," and he looked at it, and he was like, "Oh, this is going to happen to you in 2019, and you know, this is this, and you need to be careful of this." And he just kind of gives you like apparently there's like a life path that your life is, and he'll be able to see where the life path is, and it's kind of up to you to do the things that would lead you down the life path. And you know, then becomes all these questions about free will, and you know, do you believe in that stuff? I probably can't get into that, but the point about this I was gonna say is that the most memorable thing I got away from that is, and I'll draw you the picture. Let me see if I can get a sheet of paper. He drew me a picture, and he said, "David, do you oftentimes do things and people don't understand the things you do?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "Yeah, really? Like what?" And I was like, "Well, for instance, I'm like 30 something years old, and I'm living at home with my parents. Like every time I talk to any of my friends, they're like, their solution to all my problems is, oh, David, you got to move out. You got to move out. Just move out and you'll be happier. And, you know, there was a time when I was constantly arguing with my parents or having fights, you know, but that's their solution. It's like, if I move out, you know, like, I'll never have a problem again. And I think a lot of my friends, especially my American friends, they don't understand, like, why would a 30-something-year-old guy, like, how are you ever gonna get a chick in your, you know, to come over to your place? And it's true. Like, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, how, like my mom's like, you can't have any girls over, David. If she comes over, make sure your door's open. And I'm like, I'm 30-something years old. Like, but the thing about it is like, I've never been that kind of person anyways, you know? So yeah, people didn't understand. And then, like, so he drew me a picture. He was like, oh, here, David, here's the Earth right here, okay? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, here's a star, and here's the alien star, and that's where you are. You're an alien, David. You're an alien. You live on the star while everybody lives on the Earth, and that's why people don't understand you. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, and worse off, you actually have 2 stars. So you're a double alien. So not only are you weird and you're an alien, but you're weird for the aliens. You're an alien of the aliens. And I was like, God, really? And he's like, yeah. And that's why people don't understand you. And, like, so what they don't understand is, like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't believe what he said, but, like, when he said it, it made sense. Because, like, for instance, like, for me, I like my mom. Like, me and my mom have had such a great relationship. There was a year maybe we got in a fight about college and we weren't talking to each other. And I think that year, like, where I went and just, like, wasn't talking to her and did my own thing, I think it helped because, like, I think she respected me more because it was like, oh, well, David, he's strong enough to, like, stand on his own feet, you know, like, you know, and it's kind of stubborn too. And so it's like, oh, well, he kind of, you know, he doesn't need me. Like, you know, mother's like, oh, I want to take care of my kid. But he's like, he doesn't need me anymore. And then I made the conscious decision to, like, you know, work things out. And, like, I like going to eat with my mom. Like, oh, we'll go out and have lunch. We'll talk and we'll, you know, have lunch like 2 or 3 times a week when she's in town. And we hang out and, like, you know, there's also this realization that I know that, you know, she's not going to be gone. She's not going to be here forever. There's going to be a day where she's gone. And this is how I see it. It's like, look, she's going to be gone one day. And I know that sounds morbid but I mean, it's inevitable, right? And I don't want to look back one day and be like, oh man, dude, I really wish I would have spent more time with her. Or, like, you know, like, basically I'm just doing everything I can for her, for you know, my family, just being there. I could tell, like, when I was one of the reasons why I decided to move back to Houston is because, like, I would come back from Austin and, like, there was stuff that wasn't getting done around the house, or, you know, and she'd be like, oh, can you help me, David, can you help me change the air conditioning filter? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I'd climb up there and the air conditioning filter was, like, not changed for, like, 6 months or something. And she's like, oh, really? 6 months? Oh, has it been that long? And I was like, oh, God, like, you know, you could see, not that she's, like, useless, but you could see that there were just certain things that she needed help with. And, like, my dad is not the kind of person to do that stuff. And he's a typical Asian dad, like, never changed a light bulb in his entire life, you know? And I could just see there were certain things that she just, you know, needed, like, somebody to help with, you know, around the house. You know, God forbid, like, you know, there's, like, an animal or, you know, something more serious. And I was fine. We had a big house. And, like, I'm lucky enough to have a big house where I have my section of the house. And as long as y'all don't come in here, just leave my stuff alone, I'm okay. And for the most part, she's done that. Not really. But anyways, you know, I saw somebody who, again, this all started because somebody posted, like, oh, I feel like don't fit in. And, like, there's a lot of times and this video is going long, sorry, but there's a lot of times in my life where I felt like I didn't fit in, where people were like, there's a couple stories. Let me stop this video and I'll continue it in the next video. I'll tell you a couple stories that in my life that I did that didn't make sense. I made sense to me, but if I'm telling you right now, if I tell you the story, you'll be like, "What the hell, David? Like, how could you? Why would you do that? Or how? Why would you think that's okay?" All right. Let's see if you follow me over to the next video. I'll see you there.